Tourism is an important part of the economy in India and is rapidly growing. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, tourism generated 16.91 lakh crore, 240 billion US in 2018, 9.2% of India's GDP. It also supported over 40 million jobs, 8.1% of total employment in the country. The travel and tourism sector is predicted to grow 6.9%, 32.5 lakh crore, or 450 billion US by 2028, and make up almost 10% of the country's GDP. In order to visit the country, India requires citizens of most countries to hold a valid passport and apply for a travel visa at their local Indian embassy or consulate before their visit. Travelers can apply directly by mail or in person, or through their local travel services company. India has recently implemented an online method for citizens of 168 countries to apply for an e-tourist visa. There are certain exceptions to this rule, however. Citizens of Bhutan, Maldives, and Nepal do not need a travel visa to enter the country, and citizens of multiple countries do not have to pay any money to obtain an Indian visa. A protected area permit, PAP, is required to enter multiple provinces in India. A restricted area permit, RAP, is required to enter the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and parts of Sikkim. Special permits are also required to visit the Lakshadweep Islands. Over the past decade, tourism in India has grown exponentially, and tribal tours have become very popular among both domestic and international tourists. Tribal tourism has helped to create financial opportunities for many tribes and the people living in them. It has also helped to spread awareness about Indigenous people in India, many of whom face oppression, lack of opportunities, and social exclusion. However, this type of tourism has also created many social and psychological consequences for tribal people that are more detrimental than beneficial. Over the past decade, many tourism companies have begun to offer tours of tribal areas. The problem with this is that some of the travel agencies that are offering tribal tours are willing to force contact with people in the tribes if tourists are willing to pay enough. Various studies have reported many long and short-term consequences that reckless tourist activities can have on tribal areas and the tribal people interacting with tourists. Some of the consequences include culture shock, exploitation, objectification, humiliation, and undermining of one's culture, and an increase in intertribe conflicts. However, responsible tourism, guided by ethical practices and cultural sensitivity, can be very beneficial for tribes. People visiting tribes should be educated on the negative impact tribal tourism can have on the Indigenous people and their communities, and know about the community they're visiting. The government must also create rules about the activities carried out in tribal tourism. The rules should also determine what role travel agencies and companies play, and to what extent they can participate in tribal tourism activities. In other words, every tourism activity in Indigenous and protected areas should be monitored by a team of professionals that will evaluate the risks and approved by the tribe. The Indian culture is one of the oldest and richest cultures in the world. However, now that Western culture is being spread throughout the country as a result of tourism, it is changing the Indian culture in many ways. Western culture has begun to replace Indian culture. An example of this is with clothing. In India, the traditional dressing is the sari, dhoti, and kurta. However, today there are many people wearing more Western clothing, like jeans, t-shirts, and tank tops. It is estimated that approximately 25% of people in India now wear Western-style clothing. The change of fashion in India is now leading to the reduction of the importance of Indian culture to many people. Westernization has also changed many people's lifestyles. Most things in Indian culture have changed, like respect to the young ones and elders, importance of family, marriage, making clothing, festivals, foods, names, languages. Some people are even getting plastic surgery to look more Western. People are changing themselves and trying to adapt to Western people, and in the process, erasing their own culture. Though there are many negative effects tourism has on India, there are also many beneficial aspects of it. Travel and tourism play an important role in India's economy. India ranks 14th in the world in terms of its tourism sector's contribution to the GDP. Other benefits include economic support for hotels, retail shops, transportation services, entertainment venues and attractions, and the creation of millions of jobs. Also, when a tourist attraction becomes popular, it can cause the government to invest more money into it, which in turn can benefit the preservation of important historical sites in places like national parks and preserves. In conclusion, while tourism in India does have its problems, the pros of it outweigh the cons.